What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. Happy to be here with you this morning. Everyone who's here, thanks for sharing on this journey together. We got an exciting day ahead of us over here. We're going to start this off. Sorry about that, Oliver. We're going to start this off here looking at the equity markets, and then we'll take a run through everything. But keep an eye on the dollar, which is being faded so far as New York comes in over here. All right. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at what is going on or what just happened this morning. We saw the GDP print second quarter minus 32.9%. That's minus 32.9%. That is the greatest contraction in history, but that's in the past. We're now looking forward. We have heard reports out of the White House that we're going to have the biggest quarter ever. Let's see what happens, right? Unemployment claims, another bad number. It helps me to look at charts. You can see over here, unemployment claims. You can see now they just rose, right? As further areas, kind of, I don't know if you want to call it lockdown, but are definitely taking a step back over there. So all that is not so good. And in light of all of that continuing, let's say bad trending news, the markets are just, they're sitting on the closest support to their basically high since the March low. So markets not really so worried. Could that change? Of course that could change. If that changes, it was a pretty big hit today. Minus almost 33% GDP print. Markets kind of hanging in there. Pretty nice. Actually, not much is happening. What is happening though, what happened actually over in Asia and London, let's talk about that really quick. This is like let's say like a 10-second clip from last night's update. Now watch what happens in Asia, by the way. Asia and London, if we could see a reversal here, just watch out for that. After FOMC day, you always have to watch out for the Asian Open and see where they take it. Now you can see over here, this area, this trend line coming into the resistance, right? And that's exactly what happened. And so where does that take us? Well, let's see what New York does with it now, right? Let's see what New York does, because this is really what matters here. And we're here together to kind of follow through what happens. We've got 25 minutes to the equities open. I think the markets probably going to be moving now that the FOMC is out of the way. We got some data out of the way. Let's see what happens this morning. Nasdaq, let's take a look at what's going on over there as well. This looked like a breakout of that trend line over here. You could see smacked back into it. If this resumes off of it, that's a buy. That's a strong buy if this is able to resume out of this over here right now. Let's watch what happens during this session. Dollar. Oh yeah, we'll look at Bitcoin for sure. Let's look at Bitcoin first. Let's look at, and then yeah, but the dollar is the driver. All right. So Bitcoin is just testing this trend line right here, right now. Where did I get that trend line from? Yesterday, we looked at that together. I took this trend line over here, the Genesis trend line. I took it over here, connecting it to these points, and then I cloned it, and I just placed it up. You could see over here, this resistance, right? Here it was support. Now this is the support that we're trading above. A resumption off this will be a beautiful buy. What happens if you trade below? If we take out this trend line over here, then we're looking to what happens around. I have support over here at 10.55.7. That goes down to 10,400, which was the resistance of the breakout. So there's a peak right there, actually. So in that area, if we lose this trend line today, is where we're looking for a pullback to. Below 10,400, then we come back down into this trend line that was where the bull market ignited, all the way down here, coming in right now around 9,761. So those are the levels in play. But what you're watching for is why this support is holding here is a resumption upwards. Tom, good to see you. Jordan, what's going on? So dollar, right? What's going on with the dollar? Dollar overnight was being bid up. And then, that has been smashed ever since we saw the data prints this morning. That did not bode well, because what that means, right, when you see by the way, I don't know if this is from yesterday or not. I think this is from yesterday. You could tell by the masks they're wearing. This was just posted. And by the way, he's wearing his mask really well. Look at that that nose coverage right there. That's a good mask Mnuchin's got in. But this is Treasury Secretary Mnuchin. You know, look at their eyes locked. Look at these elbows with Jerome Powell, the Fed chairman, and they're both like, we got this. We got this. This is going to be a photo that the rebellion will remember forever. And the other thing that I wanted to share with you, because I pay attention when the Winklevoss brothers talk, they often do not. The last time I remember, and I don't really remember which one it was. Tyler or Cameron. But I remember, where were we when Bitcoin went up to $14,000 over here? I remember as Bitcoin was trending up over here, as soon as it broke 6,500, or right around there, one of them came out and was like, this thing's going to 14,000. And you pay attention when they say something. They're saying the next Bitcoin bull run will be dramatically different. Today, there's exponentially more capital, human capital, infrastructure, and high quality projects than in 2017 in the last one. Speaking of high quality profits, BlockFi is absolutely one that they're referring to. Not only that, they're investors in it, right? So what they're talking about, BitConnect, right? That was a 2017 lending platform scam. BlockFi, VC giant. So pay attention to what's going on over there. Right, printing money. By the way, thanks for bringing me back to where I wanted my mind to be. What do all of these data prints this morning, jobs claims getting worse? By the way, you're seeing now, we said this going back during the crisis, a lot of these jobs are lost forever and never will return. There's only one solution to that. I did watch the Fed Q&A portion of the press conference yesterday, and Jerome was very clear that these jobs will not be returning, and that the government, not the Fed, the government is going to probably need to do some form of universal basic income in order to go ahead and support these people that will never go to work again. We've spoken about a lot together during the crisis, all the way back in March, that at the end of this crisis, universal basic income will be implemented. In the first stimulus package sent out, there was a provision included that everybody have their own digital wallet so that they could go ahead and distribute the basic income, right? The welfare, whatever you want to call it, right? They took it out before passage of that stimulus bill. That the law was already written. They didn't write it that night. They already have this stuff prepared, right? It's just an agenda that's being implemented. But by the end of this, these jobs are not returning. More stimulus coming, more permanent stimulus. All right. Are gold and silver down? Silver off 3%, which is nothing. And gold off 0.6%. Yeah, gold and silver, I mean, right now you're consolidating right here below this resistance. Is that bullish? It's consolidation below a resistance bullish. Yeah. The longer this consolidates and breaks, the better. That's excellent here on silver. Yeah. Slight pullback. Not as bad as the night before. Silver trading down a little bit. That's okay. The dollar was up a little bit overnight. This all looks quite bullish and good and continues to do so. As with Bitcoin, what's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin's consolidating above a resistance level it just took out, now above the support. This looks like a pullback in the markets to me, and a small one. Considering the barrage of bad news, minus 32.9% GDP, jobs, unemployment rate increasing, coronavirus. By the way, coronavirus, COVID, whatever the name is, right? They're having rising cases in Japan. That's absolutely alarming. Not only in Japan, also in China, and more alarming, almost as alarming in Australia, as they are in winter. More people are indoors. That's the thing. Being indoors actually spreads this thing. Of course, if you're outside and you're in a small group, a group of rioters, protesters, bad news bears, right? But if you're outside spread out, that's obviously the healthiest thing to do. Either which way, more stimulus coming. This looks pretty healthy over here as we still hold this area. By the way, these clone trend lines I do, let me clone this. Wait a second. I don't know how many people we have in here. I haven't been able to look, but we have 108 likes. If you're here this morning, please go ahead and smash that like button. All right, here we go. We can see where this is peaking down to, right? I'm looking at, here's where my eyes focused. This resistance, then that was support, then that was support. It's a line, support, yep, support. And now could we come down into here? Well, we just did. Let's see what happens. This looks really, really, really bullish still, considering the news flow. This looks really good over here. Ideally, or ultimately, again, just so everyone has the plan in their head. If you get to here, if you get to this trend line, that's where you're looking to buy as long as it holds. If it breaks, you get out below this support over here at 31.83. Why? Because then we're probably coming down to test this 31.23 support. So that's a little bit of a game changer for us here now on the S&P 500 as we start to put more space in between this trend line and this support over here. So just want to make everyone aware of that little bit of a nuance change now for our analysis on the S&P. What about the Nasdaq? We're just going to briefly glance at it as we always do. Briefly. Yeah, Nasdaq, we want to see whether or not we fall back in. If we fall back in, we're looking at 10,300 for sure. But this still has the potential here to rise out of it. If this does rise out, starts putting in higher highs here, and this was just a successful retest of the broken resistance here, that thing has the potential to come back up and should be tracking the Nasdaq all-time highs. Yeah, I'm not. I heard someone say that on Forex Live this morning. I saw that the idea of delaying election. I looked then on Google News and I didn't see a headline on that yet. I don't have any information on that. If he's looking to delay the election, even if it's rightfully so because of the pandemic, that's going to cause a lot of uncertainty. It's going to cause a lot of division. And probably not a good idea. But either is paper voting. This is absolutely ridiculous. We're in 2020. It doesn't make any sense. But that's not something that's affecting the markets today. So that's not for us to focus on. If at any point, if the election, again, the greatest fear or risk going into this election in 2020 is that on election night, there is no clear winner. And that could go on for several weeks or longer. So that's bad news bears. We'll keep watching what the dollar is doing over here. Again, just for like longer term perspective, this trend line over here we have going, as long as the dollar is below that, you're looking to sell resistances as we're looking for further impulses down to the downside. I'm not interested in oil. I've tried to keep people away from looking at oil because it's not interesting and or exciting. Oil has done nothing while we have been making lots of good trades all over the place, right? So stay away from oil. Continue to stay away from oil. We crushed oil all year. This is we've made many good trades this year. One of the best ones was oil throughout January and February. As we were looking, right? January and February, crushed all of that. So stay away. Focus on where markets are moving and where you have potential to break multiple support or resistance levels. That's where the most money is going to be made with the lowest risk. Here on Bitcoin, right? That looks good over here. That's a pretty, if you like the little bit of overview we got in the first 17 minutes here, go ahead and smash that like button. That's what I'm talking about, Murray. That's exactly what I'm talking about. The fact that that does not exist in 2020, since the technology is there, is absolutely ludicrous. It doesn't make it. Just attach the blockchain to everyone's social security number. There you go. Yeah. Next entry on Bitcoin is I'm heavily positioned into Bitcoin, and as the bull market began, I got beautiful entries down over here. Forget all that. right? Recently, my last 3 most recent entries now have been over here. Let me clone that and just bring that up there. Those are my last 3 entries on Bitcoin. I took that as that resumed off, still holding that trade over there that has not broken that support. If you're not in this trade now, then wait for confirmation. What is confirmation? Price starts making a higher high off that support. That's confirmation. Descending. Let's take it out, Dylan. Let's start over here as we get into the FX pairs and find out what's going on over here. Descending wedge break. Or descending wedge. I don't see it. I mean, what I'm looking at is more like this, right? You can see this is definitely the line to look at, like that. We peaked down below here. That was a fake break. You got back up in it. Notice how we do things anyway. This is not a trend line break that we trade. This is over there off of that broken support then. But you could see the fake out. We don't trade breakouts. We wait for the pullback, the retest. Oh, never a short entry. Prevented us from a bad trade. All right. So yeah, Euro, Japanese yen, trading up on the day continues within this pattern. This is the pattern that I see over here. And, that's leading up for perhaps a breakout to the upside. We'll see. Australian dollar, Japanese yen, Australian dollar, that broke down out of that trend line, but you could see that it has the potential to close back above it. That would not be considered a trend line break. You have to watch where it closes, price closes on the daily, to know whether or not you have a broken level over there. So let's check out the Euro US dollar this morning together. What about, so illegals with no social security numbers aren't supposed to vote in the US elections. That seems, so problem solved. All right, let's keep going. Good morning. Can we look at, let's look at, good morning to you too. Let's check out the pound Japanese yen. Let's get into oh, wow. Who's a part of that? I'm not. I'm tied up. But that looks beautiful over there. That looks beautiful. Pull back into that area of support, resuming out, breaking now multiple trend lines to the upside. Are you seeing any type of this? Those that are trading this pair, is that a rising channel over there? That's what I see a little bit over there. That could possibly be something to watch. Whoever's trading the pound Japanese yen. Banks. What are the new banks though, right? New banks. What is that going to look like? The old banking system simply does not work. What are new banks looking like? Are new banks looking something like this? For me, they are. Are new banks looking something like Square, like the Cash App? For a lot of people, they are. What are the new banks going to look like? All right. Here we are. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, we don't ever take breakouts. We don't. It's a very low probability trading breakouts. I took one breakout this year on gold, but I'm not going to get into that. That's irrelevant, right? We don't, on FX note, we don't take breakouts ever, 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 ever. Let's also see what's going on here with the pound US dollar. Beautiful. Pound really, what's going on with the pound, with the euro pound? That's what I want to see. Let's check out the euro pound. Well, this just doesn't look exciting to me whatsoever and continue to be such. I've stayed away from that for a while now, ever since it's been consolidating. Kind of like oil, you want to stay where the movement is. Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. Ooh, interesting pair. Let's take a look at it. Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. I needed to check in on the US dollar, Mexican peso before we get to the Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, which I will in 1 second. And you can see now we have, after this break it down, pulled back. That looked like a successful retest. The follow through, now back in to that broken support. Let's see if that holds as resistance. That looks like a good entry if it does. It was interesting as yesterday I noticed as the U.S. equity markets were trading up even after the Fed. After the FOMC yesterday, U.S. equity markets were rising up over 1%, and the U.S. dollar was rising versus the Mexican peso. The normal correlation was breaking yesterday, which probably was nothing more than a hint of what was to happen with the equity market selling off a little bit. How do you make an entry into the bounce off a trend line? Yeah, so we get into entries, exits, position sizing, strategy, everything in the course. There's a link below. That's definitely where you want to focus on over there. Let's check out first the Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, and then we'll look at the euro, Swiss franc. Let's look at them both. All right. So, wow, that's really, Swiss franc is strong today. Hold on one second. I want to see what's happening. Yeah. So the Swiss franc is finally rallied back versus the dollar. You could see, by the way, I'm just trying to get my bearings, that why the Swiss franc has rallied back against the dollar's gains, the Japanese yen has not today. All right. So I'm just kind of figuring out what's going on. And I see also that the dollar is stronger than the euro. So the Swiss franc, very, very, very strong today. That's interesting. That's interesting seeing that move into the Swiss franc. Is the Swiss central the thing about the Swiss franc that I don't like, and I've been holding a US dollar Swiss franc short ever since that break of that support, is that the central bank could intervene at any time. They're just like, it's tough. So be careful. Anyone trading any Swiss franc pairs, you never know when they're going to get involved. Euro, Swiss franc, the resistance over here is holding. If this breaks out, if you get above this resistance over here and then a confirmation and a close above here, this could extend further. That's a big break over here. This goes back all the way to 2008, right? Is that true? No, it's not 2008. What am I talking about? That's only 2018. It's a 2-year trend line. Nevertheless, a breakout. I'm always stalking the trend line breakouts, long-term breakouts. They lead to big moves. I took this trade actually. Small profits, stopped out at break even. I'm not interested right now, personally, in taking another stab at it. Kips, is it backed by a portion of gold? All right, so let me check in now as the markets are getting ready to open up over here in a few minutes. Not too much going on. Dollar giving back its gains after the bad data out of the U.S. Why? Because it means more stimulus coming, right? So, and more stimulus is coming. Not too much. Now we're kind of entered the summer trading after all the excitement's out of the way over the last couple of hours. Last 2 hours, though, pretty volatile. All right, let's see what happens. What do you think of SLV and Ether just following gold's lead? Well, we're talking about, ETH is, Ethereum is following Bitcoin's lead, right? And silver's following gold's lead. Yeah, right. But this is, in this precious metals bull market, silver is going to outperform gold. That's going to continue. Gold does the hard work. As soon as gold goes off to new all-time highs, silver is going to sharply appreciate then after, right? That's what's going on over here. Silver, we're looking at some possibly even this year as the printing continues. We're looking up here. 29.48 is the next area of interest we're looking at on silver. Yep. So, by the way, what we share here, and if you enjoy it, go ahead, smash that like button. Definitely help support the channel for that. But this analysis is for you to go ahead. It's not for me to give you entries and exits whatsoever. That's dangerous. Anyone's handing out entries and exits like that, people are losing money. Here, people are making money. Here, following this channel, a lot of people are making a lot of money, right? This is analysis to help you understand the flow of the markets. Start following along and you'll understand what's happening in the markets. It'll become clear, right? And then you trade around that. That's how it works. Boom, 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 boom. No, there's no. Tom, there's some amazing, phenomenal videos on the channel. Please go look at that Bitcoin playlist and watch the first few. Watch the first few Bitcoin videos, and you will have a better understanding, Tom, of the Bitcoin's 4-year cycle, both the bull and bear portion of it, and why it happens than anyone you walk in a room with. Love that's the comment of the day, Kips. That's the comment of the day. All right. Thank you, Steven. And even my last one, I think the most recent one, I watched it again the other day. It was awesome. Thank you for that. That's awesome. Yeah, that's all. So Zach, great comment anyway, because 100%, right? You could be a scalper, and I have people that are long-term investors and don't even trade the markets who watch the channel, right? So you're a scalper, you do something completely different, but it helps you to have the overall flow of the market to be able to know what side you want to be scalping towards, of course. Bum, 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 bum. I think Bitcoin is still very, 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 very cheap, right? I've been obviously saying it was cheap, and I think that it will continue to be cheap under 30,000. Under 30,000, Bitcoin is very cheap. From 30,000 and above, you still have an opportunity at a 4 or 4.5 or more X for this bull market cycle. And then I believe in the next bear market, I think that 30,000 is probably around where the low is. Whether it's $30,000, $40,000 in that area is going to be where the bear market low is. So any Bitcoin under 30,000 is really cheap. You could buy, Steven, you don't need to buy a Bitcoin. You could buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. You could buy $100 worth of Bitcoin. Australian dollar, Swiss franc. We're seeing lots of movement today on the Swiss franc. Why I do not see a head and shoulders, and what you're looking at is this over here. You're looking at left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then that would be the neckline over there. And yeah, I mean, possibly. I don't want to say no to that. Possibly. What I'm looking at is that support that's breaking right there. You can see that. That's an important signal. If you do break down, right, and then we'd be testing your neckline, probably, right? Or no, I'm sorry, that's a bad neckline. We'll pause. How do you hit pause in this thing, right? This neckline is up here. There's your neckline. So a break of that support and neckline would coincide with each other. You know what you do. If you get the breakdown further, right, wait for that pullback, that retest, and then that resumption. Where are you targeting? If you're able to take out that area over here, then you're targeting much lower down over here. Let me move up this line of support now. That belongs right around there. You'd be targeting 0.64 on a successful breakdown. If you look at what the neckline to the neckline to the high point, and then look at that as a potential take profit, you seeing that puts us down a little bit lower. That puts us down into that area. So keep that in mind over here. That's putting you down into that next area of support. That is in 0.636969. So those are areas to watch if you're tracking the Australian dollar and Swiss franc. That would mean if we see this breakdown over here, that would be a canary. Watch the Australian dollar, Japanese yen too. That would be a canary because you're looking at risk on, risk off pairs, right? So for the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, look at this trend line over here. Look at that trend line, focus in on it, and you could see a breakdown of that trend line and then that support. That's then taking us down to the lower portion down over here. You can see the confluence of that trend line and that support over in that area. A breakdown of that really says, all right, now we're looking at something going on in the markets. Now we're looking at a trend change in all of the macro And yeah, maybe the economy is catching up over here. We would see that playing on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. We would see that playing out on the Australian dollar, Swiss franc. So those are the canaries to keep watch for. But that's not what we're seeing. That's not what we're seeing right now. U.S. equity markets opening up right now. What are we looking at over here? 2.5 hours should be pretty exciting. Euro up on the session. This is a dollar story in my mind when you're looking at Euro US dollar. Anything dollar and dollar is now back to down on the day after the bad news out of the US, signaling, and it's all signal. Don't pay attention to the noise. We pay attention to signal here. The signal is that more stimulus and more printing is coming. Powell did everything he can. I don't pay attention, to be honest. I don't pay attention. We'll find out. My dear friend, Amkar, listen, this is really the one and only time. Yesterday you spent all day spamming this comment. Do not do it again. Yeah, so I mean, look, the higher the time in investing, general rule of thumb here is the higher your and longer your time preference, the more odds you're going to be successful. We just entered on Sunday a bull market on Bitcoin. Just this Sunday, we entered the bull market on Bitcoin. I'm targeting somewhere near, I have basically a time-based stop, take profit, as well as price, right? And that's coming in the winter of 2021. And that's when Bitcoin is going to be somewhere around $140,000. These are my targets. Now, would I want to be? Someone told me to sell on Monday. I higher the time preference. Why I'm saying that because if you're focused on the 4 hour, you got to be an active trader. It's a little bit too small of a time frame. It's really a small time frame. Don't focus in on it. You're going to be much better off focusing on the 8 hour time frame, right? You know, I look, I might have confused everyone when I mentioned that I took that entry on the 4 hour. Look, price was it. I'm a professional, right? Stay on the 8 hour. Listen, if you would have took the 8 hour over here, you would have had a perfect entry and easy. Stay on the 8 hour, make it easy. RH, today I decided not to go with it. Today I decided not to go with the matcha Corey ceremonial grade matcha. I'm just drinking some coffee. I think maybe I'll have, by the way, anyone who does drink matcha tea, if you cold brew it, if you just put it overnight in the fridge, it tastes so smooth. It's ridiculous. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. But there's something about sipping that high tea that's also beautiful. Why are we not super concerned about the SPX 3237? Why are we not concerned about it? I don't know. I'm not concerned about it at all. I'm targeting up here. My only concerns up here. We're down here. All right. Right down there, then down there. Those are my areas of concern. I'm not concerned about that. Who's concerned about that, Tom? And why? Yes, 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 yes. Oh, smoothies. Am I bullish on Tezos? I did a video on Saturday about cryptocurrencies. Fantastic video talking about what my allocation and what your allocation perhaps should be as we are a few months away from entering alt season. Am I bullish on Tezos, which I'm holding? I bought down into on this puke over here, and on LinkedIn, which I originally bought down over here on that puke. Am I still bullish on them and Ethereum, which I also bought at the same time down over here? Yeah, all three of them for this whole bull market, I will continue to position into for the whole bull market. So for the next, más o menos 18 months, we're looking at me holding and continuing to add to LinkedIn, Tezos, and Ethereum. And all three of those, by the way, are less than 1% of my overall portfolio. Because I think it's really risky. I think all coins are really risky. Now, I think silver's risky. That's why I prefer gold over silver. I think silver's risky. I think silver's going to outperform gold, but I think gold is the better investment. I want to own gold. I don't want to own silver for the long term. Nope. I think it's very expensive. I don't think it's a good deal. What is it pricing Ethereum at $1,700 right now? Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much. That's what we're looking for, Vern, right? Please smash that like button here this morning. Keep us going over here. Got a notification that markets sync at the open. I mean, stocks are, by the way, Jake wants to look, stocks, by the way, in my opinion, are very risky. Stocks are very, 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 very risky at this point up here. Stocks are very risky, right? Gold, Bitcoin, silver, of course, over equity market any day in this environment without even a hesitation or thinking about it, right? But the stock market is risky. Those looking at but we'll see. But as the printer goes, we know which way stocks should be headed. That's up. Thank you. My allocation doesn't add up. If you have 10% maximum in crypto, stocks are riskier than crypto. So 50% at least in gold. No, I have my allocation is over 50% in Bitcoin. My personal allocation, that's including real estate, including the real estate that we own. My current portfolio is over 50% Bitcoin. If that doesn't add up for you, I don't know what to say. But stock market, zero, right? I have some GBTC. Aside from GBTC, Grayscale Bitcoin, my equity exposure is zero because the risk to reward is definitely not there. Yep. Matthew, 100%. 2 tips. Number 1, hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button and just hang out with us for a couple of weeks. If you're a beginner and you have, for whatever reason, here with us in this moment, then you just have an opportunity at a career or success in the markets. So just subscribe and just watch, right? If you're really serious, after watching for 3 weeks, Matthew, if you devote 3 weeks and invest 3 weeks of time into yourself and into the possibility of you making it as a trader, do that by only watching for 3 weeks. And then after that, if you're serious, go ahead and sign up for the course and take the course. That will afford you the greatest chance of success. The printer goes brr, stocks go up. I don't know anything about gold stocks. I'm not going to talk about anything that I do not have any insight that's worth sharing with you. There we go. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. GP, I hope that's to my allocation towards Bitcoin. Yeah. That's right. So the only so by the way, I want to talk about this with all of you, like in a huddle. You guys ever play sports? You got to huddle up. Got to talk with the team real quick. Throughout the bear market, whether it was friends, family, or anyone that I felt had any capacity to understand money, I've tried to get them to understand Bitcoin. I spent years studying Bitcoin, right? And again, I could walk into a room, I could go to a Bitcoin conference, and there are people who just have an understanding of Bitcoin that I am not even close to, right? For sure, right? You think you understand Bitcoin, and then you start learning about it, you realize you know nothing about Bitcoin. Then you start the rabbit hole, and it takes a lot of time and research, and then you begin to understand Bitcoin, right? Then, once you understand, I'm a technician. You all know that I study markets and market cycles. I make a living on the charts. That's what I do, right? So for me, not only understanding what Bitcoin is, how Bitcoin works, but then coming to understand the 4-year Bitcoin cycle, right? Which again, as a chartist, I have a huge advantage. That's where it really all makes sense. I've tried to as the opportunity was there, I tried to, I mentor a friend who's much younger for years, right? We had a tight spiritual connection, and he's looked at me as a mentor, in his life. And I spent 2 years trying to get Bitcoin. Finally, right over here, he went in to BlockFi, bought Bitcoin. It was like $5,000. It was really almost all of his savings that he saved up over this past year, put it into Bitcoin, and I could not be happier. The kid's in debt too, credit card debt, right? So does he have the opportunity, 18 months from now, of not only paying off of that debt, but having something substantial to work off of? Absolutely. So yeah, my money is where my mouth is, and that's that. What percentage of gold do you recommend? So it depends on how old you are, right? It depends on how old you are. For me personally, at least 10% of your overall portfolio, in my opinion, should be in gold. That's my own opinion, right? I mean, you could just duck go that, figure that out. I'm here to unravel the markets. You think so, Jay? You think 50% is speculating? You think it's gambling? I mean, but really? Let's think about that for 1 second, Jay. So someone who owns equity inside a company, a private company, let's say that it was Uber, and let's say you were an early investor and or had shares of Uber, and why it's in the private, all of a sudden it's going up. Uber's worth 10 billion, then it's worth 20 billion, then it's worth 40 billion. 50 billion. You're getting offers ever since the very beginning because people want those shares. All of your net worth is in Uber. Is that gambling? I mean, that seems like a big gamble, right? All of your net worth is in Uber. Or where else is it? In your 401k? Where's the 401k? That's in the equity markets. That's freaking risky. Your retirement account is stuck in the equity markets, which as we look at, we're like, oh my goodness, the freaking equity markets are risky. That sounds risky. What about your pension? What are they invested in? Oh, they're invested in the bond market and in equities. Oh, that sounds safe. That sounds like gambling to me. And Bitcoin sounds like a hedge. So Jay, I don't think that's true. I think you're totally wrong about that. And I think that you see things the way that basically the herd sees them. And that is the surest way. That's a huge gamble. You're gambling on the herd, not on yourself. The other 50% is in real estate, gold and silver, physical. And then of course I have the income that I live off of. So there you go. I don't hold too much cash at this point. As Bitcoin is starting a bull market over here, that started on Sunday. Any cash that I have goes to Bitcoin, right? Except for living expenses and things like that. No, well, the markets are forward looking. So the markets are not really concerned about what happened in March, right? We're taking a look at what happened in March over here, right? January, February, March, or April, May, June, rather. Sorry, right? It's not looking at what it's looking at what's coming. And we saw the huge pickup in businesses, and we're seeing profits higher than estimated. The third quarter GDP is going to be it's going into an election. It's going to be a massive print to the upside, whether it's real or not. So the markets are looking there. The markets are looking at more stimulus coming. The markets right here continue to be look really bullish over here. If you get the news that you had today and the markets are kind of like, okay, you have to read into that. Dollar unchanged on the day right now. Let's see what the next hour and a half or so bring. Thank you for that. Happy to share this with you all. I don't know anything about the grayscale Ethereum at all. Zero, other than that the premium from the last I understood was pricing in Ethereum at $1,700. It doesn't make any sense. If you want to invest in Ethereum, go buy Ethereum. Don't. But I would not invest in Ethereum in a retirement account. That seems very risky to me. But by the way, why I'm looking for Ethereum to break possibly this massive resistance over here, right at $358, that area over there, while I'm looking for it to break massive resistance after consolidating for 2 years, and that's going to lead to a massive move up, I believe. That is speculative. I have a fraction of my portfolio in Ethereum. Doing that inside of any type of retirement account seems very, very risky to me. Yeah, Jason, we looked at the pound earlier today, trading up very high. Let's look at some FX pairs now that we got our bearings on the markets. I'm kind of not, yeah, I heard about that, but then I looked in Google News. I haven't seen any type of confirmation of that. If anyone has, that's interesting. Yeah, at the top of this bull market, as we look to position ourselves out of Bitcoin, for sure, I'm going to be holding a sizable portion, earning 8.6% in BlockFi. Of course, 10% gold overall portfolio, good place to be for people of all ages. Yeah. I want to get into FX, by the way. So this is going to be a longer than normal session. That looks good. So we've looked at the Nasdaq first thing. By the way, you could always go to the beginning of the stream if you want to get an update on the markets like that. But yeah, if this is able to start making higher highs over there, that's incredibly bullish and should lead to a test of the all-time high. Now, if this closes down below over here, down below this trend line over here, then at that point, what are we looking at? We're looking at a retest somewhere around 10,300, the support area over there on the Nasdaq. That would coincide, right, with the S&P being into its trend line support over here. Steve, when you say, are we entered a bull market or are we in a correction? Which market are you talking about? Of course. My eggs are not in one basket, right? 50% invest of my portfolio in Bitcoin is not putting my eggs in one basket. I own real estate. I have my trading. By the way, having the honing the skill, developing a craft. People graduate university with absolutely zero skill or craft. Having the craft of being able to analyze and successfully trade the markets, and all that you need to do, right? Trading is extraordinarily nuanced. It's not black and white, right? The course that I provide, the course that I developed, and the structure of that course is so that anyone, whether you've been trading for 7 years, whether you've been trading for 7 days or 20 years, is able to go ahead and look at the market in a very clear way and able to follow why nuanced, a very systematic approach to the markets, and it's very successful. It's very successful. So do I think that it's risky putting 50% into the best performing asset over the last 10 years by a large margin? No, I don't. But a lot of people have a lot more than 50% of their portfolio in the equity markets, and no one says that's risky. So think about that. Think about that. Most people, whether it's anyone that I know, anyone that has not red pilled themselves, has way over 50% of their net worth and retirement into the equity markets. That's freaking gambling with your future and really, really, really risky. So Clinton too, yeah, and also, by the way, if you're looking to create wealth, then you have to be very focused. When you're looking to protect wealth, that's when you want to diversify. Yeah. So, by the way, Jay, my 18-year-old nephew, who's all over Robinhood, and last trade I knew he made was on Tesla, believes that Bitcoin is risky. If I were 18 years old, or my children, they are definitely recommended to buy. I ask my kids all the time, "What do you want? You want pesos, dollars, or Bitcoin?" The I haven't worked hard enough. They still pick dollars. I'm working on them understanding why at this point Bitcoin is sound money and better money. Welcome, Reno. Glad you're here with us. That's awesome. Right? No, Paul, comment of the day, right? I'm not here to advise anyone on allocation. I'll tell you what my allocation is. For sure, I'll share that with you. I'm not here to advise people on allocation. No way. I am not an investment advisor. Do not take anything you hear here as an investment advice. Max, DXY, are we looking, if we break down to another leg down, where are we looking at on the DXY? That's a really good question, right? Let's take a look over here. I'm looking for some area, which I find that over there was resistance. That's the same level as support, and that's an area. I would say right around 92.51 is a good level to target into. And I don't know. We'll see what happens down there. We could be on a definitely a big move here after breaking this trend line. After breaking this trend line over here, right? Now, multiple things could happen. We could still, right? And if you're on the 3-day over here, I started making higher highs, then I would be looking for a test back into that trend line, and then you have that broken support right there as well. That's the area that we would be looking for to defend in a resumption off. Now, could this continue leaking? Yeah, this could still continue leaking. This could trade down. We could test 92.59 in that area within, relatively soon. Let's see what happens, let's see what happens into next week. But next week, this is what we're looking at as we're turning into August, right? That's a big area, but that's all very, very, very bearish for the dollar, even if you start rising over here. So that's what's to look at right now. That's right. I have no idea, Gene. I'm not sure why I pound this bid today. Julian, morning. Oh, what do I think of Hive blockchain technology? I will one day open a BlockFi account and buy Bitcoin, but for now, is Hive stock a good proxy for crypto? I don't know anything about it. Carlo. I don't know anything about it that would be able to offer you any type of insight. Yep. So, but the markets are. I mean, let's say you gotta, or you want to reprogram yourself to be looking uptrends to buy off support, right? So where are we now? What looks the S&P doing over here, right? That looks pretty bearish, right? You're coming into this area of support though. That's there's not even a line there. That's like local support. I'm not focused in on that. Would a day trader be focused in on that? Yes. If we lose that, then we're coming down. We're testing right over here towards the 31.84. Again, that's a very light support. This is the big one down over here. You want to be looking as any opportunity that we have. This is where we become big buyers into the support down over here. If you get that opportunity as you come into it, that's the only trade you want to be focused in on right now. Now, if we break down and this becomes a bigger move, then we'll look to attack. But right now, you're looking to buy any pullbacks. By the way, off of the monthly high over here, what are we down? 2.5%, right? Again, equity markets. What's the next thing that's the market's going to be focused on now that the FOMC is out of the way, right? What's the next thing that the market's going to focus on? Take a look at we're entering August. The first 3 weeks of August seasonally are down in equities. Equity markets are freaking risky. Equity markets, the economy's falling apart. But next week on the calendar, let me just only focus on the high impact news events. You know, we got non-farm payrolls next week. You got the Bank of England next week. Maybe that's why the pound is bid going into that today. I'm not sure about that. And nothing else. The market is going to be looking forward to when is that next bit of stimulus coming. The reason why Trump wants to kind of piecemeal the stimulus, because if you give everything right now, then the junkie had its fix, right? But if you give it a little bit right now, and then you give it a little bit next month, and then you give it a little bit more in the fall, that keeps it hungry and it keeps it wanting more, and that keeps it coming up. That's what we're looking at over here. Either which way, equity markets are risky. You could see the correlation breaking day by day on Bitcoin and the equity markets. And we talked about how Bitcoin, at this point, the correlation as big, and this is going to be much more pronounced in 2021. These are just signs and breadcrumbs and hints of what is coming. It's in 2021 as Bitcoin starts surging to the upside that you will see the correlation really breaking down further. Yeah, I already said that. I think the premium's too high. Nothing. I don't, neither one of them sound at all attractive to me. So what, by the way, what was art all about? Art was all about scarcity. There's only so many Picassos. There's only so many Monets. So it's all about scarcity, but Bitcoin is digital scarcity, right? Bitcoin is digital scarcity. It's really hard to move art. It's really hard to sell art, So that's not something that's attractive to me. Yeah, just duck, duck, go. Duck, duck, go. Trump look. So by the way, that's something that could really spook the markets. Markets trading down on that, perhaps, amongst other things. Not a good idea. People don't like any type of, even, it doesn't matter what the intention is. It doesn't matter if it's fair and just, because we're in a pandemic and people really, you're on lockdown. You can't go to mass. I'm not allowed to go to mass. I can't go to church. People could protest. That's fine. Could you hang out with your family as long as you're in a group of 6 or under, right? But you can't get together with the whole family. But, should the election, is there going to be an immense amount of fraud over mail-in ballots? it's archaic and retarded. Even if he's right for delaying the election, it's going to come off really bad. I hope that that's not the route that the US goes down. That would not be good. Steven, back to you, by the way. Which market are you looking at over there? Which market are you looking at? Oh, S&P 500. No, my goodness. Oh, is this a bull market? Yeah, I mean, the bottom of this it's all time frame in perspective. We look at the March low when the Fed intervene over here as an event. It's a huge event, right? And we're looking at that as the low. Go back to 2008 when the Fed started QE. That was an event. That was the low. So until proven wrong, I'm looking at this as the low. Fed started QE. Stocks are going up, right? Even if the S&P goes up over the next 2 years to 4,100, it's still freaking risky, right? The downside is real. So is this a bull? So this is a bull market to me. I don't even look at it bull or bear. Above this trend line over here is uber bullish on the equity markets, and that's where we've been for why for coming back into April. That's what we said, and we've maintained that. Here we tried to break down, we tried to attack to the downside, got back up, right? Nothing happened. Buy. You're still looking to buy the equity markets until technically they give any indication that they are breaking down and it's time to attack to the downside. This is not an indication. By the way, if you look at even this, we were buyers right here. That was not an indication. That came down hard and fast, and we did not think that the bull market or the rise in equities was over. So I hope that really helps answer your question. Or Kips just made it really simple, probably 10 minutes ago. It just said we've entered a bull market months ago. I have no idea who Crypto Casey is. I think that's just nothing. Bread and circus. That's just bread and circus. I don't think that is anything. Right? That makes sense, right? Everyone is fine having well over 50% of their portfolio in equity markets and including their retirement, and it's just okay, right? Boom, 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 boom. Nope, Julian. Approaching another silver entry. Let's take it out. Where am I looking? So I mean, this came off really, really high and really hard, right? And once the trajectory started going straight up, right? Not that it couldn't go further if it made this leg up over here. Here was a real opportunity that did not follow through, right? Above the 2450, I feel much better about silver than below it. Now, this is a 15% drawdown off the high, and I do think that's a place that you have to lean in on silver, right? That's like if Bitcoin's down in the bull market 30%, that you got to step in and buy it. And that's hard to do when something is coming off. When silver's coming off 15%, if gold were coming off 7% or 5%, or if Bitcoin's coming off 30%, to step in there at that moment when all of a sudden everyone's thinking that this thing is going down, that it's over, is tough. That's why you have to do your macro. You have to do your higher time frame. You have to understand what's going on in silver, and that the Fed just started QE. We are looking at more expansion of balance sheet and stimulus coming, that we're going to look at much higher prices on gold, on silver, on Bitcoin. They're just entering. I know it's been quite a while. It seems like 18 months now or so. Time is a little hard, but the bull market is just getting going as gold starts to make new all-time highs. this is going on to make new all-time highs. I'm not trying to put a price target on gold because I'm just following the macro. I know for the next year, for the next 2 years, gold and silver are going to remain, the trade. So, anytime's a good time to buy silver in that perspective. But right now, technically on a swing traders time frame, you're in no man's land, in my opinion. You're in no man's land right now, and that's the gates. Down over here, of course, you gotta be a buyer. Get back above here and resume off. Be a buyer. That's a high probability trade. Right down and over here, I don't know if we're going back up or down, and there's a big move on each side. This BlockFi safe. There's always a risk with third parties, whether it's your bank, Chase Manhattan, Bank of America, whether it's Binance, whether it's your FX broker, whether it's Ameritrade, whatever it is, you have third party risk, and BlockFi is no different. I'm going over all the comments today. That's why I'm taking a look at everything. I don't know. There's so many. There are so many. Just do a quick DuckDuckGo search. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the market. This is Kip's market. This is more scarce than gold. Is that correct? So what does that look like over here? I'm going to start on a higher time frame just to get a little bit better of an idea. And I just don't know. I don't know. I don't have a good read on it, to be honest. You're into some support right over here. A resumption off of it, of course, that would take me up. Yeah, I don't have an opinion, really. I do not have an opinion. What is the question? What do I think about being invested in Bitcoin over the Nasdaq, or Bitcoin over the S&P? There's almost, well, there's no, I believe very strongly and firmly that Bitcoin is going to outperform both the Nasdaq and S&P by an extraordinary large margin over the next 18 months. VIX shooting up. Yeah. What type of risky derivatives are they in so they could pay this rate? Well, I mean, Mike, you asked the question: how could they pay 8.6% interest? And then you made an assumption that they're invested in derivatives. So right now, BlockFi is a VC play. As you know, VC plays are all about what? Growth, right? They're growth plays, right? You keep getting new rounds of investors come in as growth and user picks up. BlockFi's transactions are increasing at a significant rate quarter over quarter. They're doing really well. The reason for that is because they're attracting a new customer base. They offer a really good product that's really easy to use, provides a really good service. When you hold Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency at BlockFi, you could take out a loan in dollars against that cryptocurrency so that it doesn't become a taxable event. Your rate that you're paying is higher than 8.5% to do that, right? So that's number one. Number two, yeah, they do have other institutions that are looking to borrow those assets that you have stored there for whatever reason they need them. But no, they're not involved in the derivatives market. They could actually, as a VC play, lose money for years. Not that they are, but they could lose money for years. Think Uber, right? And as long as they're taking over market share, the value of the company is going to go up. So as the value of this company is going up by multiples of, they're looking towards, of course, building a unicorn, right? So when the thing's valued at, whatever it is, 200, 300, 500 million dollars, the amount of money that they have to pay out, believe me, it's there. You have Fidelity Investments as an investor in BlockFi. You have Coinbase, and you have the Winklevoss brothers, and you have Morgan Creek not Morgan Creek. I don't know if it's Morgan Creek or Morgan Digital. Both run by Mark Ursau and Anthony Papalono. Big people in the space invested in BlockFi. And if you go back to where the Winklevoss brothers earlier today and pay attention when they speak, they know what they're talking about. They said that this Bitcoin bull run will be dramatically different because there's exponentially more capital, human capital, infrastructure, and pay attention, high quality projects, right? And they're invested in this high quality project right over here. The real question is, I don't even get there. I don't want to trigger anyone today. It's a beautiful day. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning. The question is, how could the S&P 500 be bullish and the Dow Jones be so bearish? I was thinking about that because my brother, who's got all his net worth tied up in equity markets and focused on trading the Dow, I was thinking to myself, why was he? Because he was selling it down here, and I was telling him he should be buying, and then I was thinking, why was he even focused on the Dow? Because he's going back 20 years ago, I guess. S&P is basically made up of tech right now. The tech is what's leading the S&P, obviously more so here on the Nasdaq, but the S&P is largely made up of tech companies that are heavily weighted. That's why the S&P is rising faster or more bullish than the Dow. Yeah, Connor, we do that every day, every single day, every single video. You're neutral right now on silver. I just actually did that. You probably saw that. I'm not going to do that again then, Connor. You're neutral on silver. Gold is consolidating below all-time highs, right? It's already pulled back a little bit, but after making those new all-time highs, we're uber bullish. We're uber bullish. Once that thing starts picking up, that was the opportunity. I was not there. I was not there. We had on silver a 15% pullback. We've already talked about that. 7% pullbacks in a bull market are inviting on silver. 15% all day long. When I say 312, are you talking about Ethereum? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Hector, so. I'm going to answer this question because it's super relevant and super important for everyone. I think that the average person should just buy and hold Bitcoin, for the next year and a half. I do not think that they should trade it. I do not. I think that not only that, Hector, I think not only should they buy Bitcoin and hold it for the next 3 years, next year and a half, excuse me. And by the way, I will become the biggest Bitcoin bear that you know of when it's time to be. Here we're looking at, this is what I want to look at with you. Hector, I think that although you're buying a hold, I think every 30% pullback you get, and see all these highlighted, these are all 30% pullbacks. We are right here, right? We are right here right now. This is where we are. We're like right here. We just broke out that last high, 10,400. Now we're headed towards the 20,000 last cycle high, right? That's 1150 right here. We're about right here right now, okay? Any 30% pullback you get from the high at this point, you want to be a buyer. So here you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? This one over here, I don't know. That was the quickest. another 6, you had 6. Any 30% pullback you get between now and call it maybe, if you want to play it really conservative and safe, call it like $65,000. Any 30% pullback below that, you want to be a buyer as you are just holding and not trading. So you're only trading wants to be looking to add to your position at those multiples. That I think is the best. If anyone follows that, that's not trading in and out. I think a lot of traders are not going to come out ahead on Bitcoin. I think a lot of people you see all over Twitter trading in and out of Bitcoin, I think they're not going to do as well as people who buy and hold. I use Brave, I use Safari, I use Chrome and Firefox. I'm totally detached in my trading. I don't know. Justin, thank you for that. I don't know what you said yet, but I'm just saying thank you because you said thanks. Thanks for all you do. There's a lot to be said about someone who helps others. Thank you for that. Following you the last several months has made me a better person, an extremely profitable trader. Justin, that's where we're going out today. We're going to call it a session over here. And that's only because I don't think it's the time to enter FX. Hold the line, hold the positions. What's happening now? I want to check in over here actually before we get off. As the last we were looking at, your US dollar was trading towards the highs of the days, now is backing off. That means the dollar off its lows, but still this looks very bearish over here. Absolutely. Maybe you wouldn't listen to me then. My nephew doesn't listen. Brent, those that have ears will hear and understand. So it's a really, really important, it's really important to have all of the work done. That's why we go over the charts. That's why we spent the reason so many people are profitable who follow the channel is because they're doing their analysis. Really, the reason people are so profitable because they are doing their analysis. You have to, for Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin as it's down 30%, that's high. That's when the fear is in the market. That's when the height of the fear meter is off the roof. But you have to just have the fortitude to understand what type of position you're in the market cycle, and that you just buy. You don't think about it. 30% buy, 30% buy, 30% buy. That's what I'm just sharing what I do. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yes, go check out the Bitcoin playlist on the channel and you will see it. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. I don't know, we'll look at it this afternoon again. This afternoon. Bitcoin right now is consolidating above this little area of support right over here. Resumption out. Looks uber bullish. Thank you, Shar. Thank you for everyone who subscribed to that channel. I appreciate that very much. That was a big, big number and a milestone. Thank you for that, Sharzang. I do appreciate that very, very much. Hank, thanks for being here. Roman, appreciate you so much. Will, have a beautiful day. Isan, thank you so much. Miguel, you guys are down 4.7. That's a big one. Thanks, Michael. 500 likes. Wow. 502. Thanks, David. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty big. That's pretty big. You always, By the way, I set the goal when I started the channel at the end of November for 50,000 within 1 year. And it looks like I have the potential to reach that goal. You always want to set goals that you could reach and or surpass, right? You always want to be setting goals, always be looking to meet them. That goal for today could be 12 push-ups. Nope. If you don't like the music, not the place for you. Thank you. very much. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, everybody. Absolutely, Avero. Absolutely. Thanks for being here. That's awesome, Gemma. I don't know. I hope so. That'd be fantastic. Listen, I cover the markets that I believe are the best. Someone told me we had, I don't know how many subscribers we had, but just a few, and they're like, you're gonna hit 20,000 by June, and we crushed it. It was amazing. Gotta have positive attitude. Thanks for being here, then checking in over here, everyone. Really, I'll see you this afternoon. Have a beautiful moving averages as you're not used. There's no way. No. Trading is so complex. There are so many different variables that come into play, and you get to choose any one that you would like, including what market you trade and what time frame you traded on. Moving averages are, we follow the market structure over support and resistance, following price alone, how it reacts off of trendline support and resistance. Absolutely. Thanks for being here this morning. Peace and love. That's for sure. Thanks, Sam. That's awesome, Lawrence. All right, everybody. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Well, this is going to be a good update this afternoon because we'll really get to check in on what's going on and have a much better idea. Right now, we talked about it yesterday. Yesterday was the day why holding on and riding these waves that have been going for a while now. Lots of people holding open trades. Right today, those got dented a little bit, that's for sure. But you're kind of neutral on the beach finally, waiting and watching and waiting for that next set to come in. That set doesn't seem to be today. Let's see what happens this afternoon. Definitely, DJ, you got it. Definitely enjoy being here with each and every one of you. Cheers to that. There's, if you live in if you live outside the U.S., a U.S. citizen still has to pay tax in the U.S. However, there is a deferred amount of income if you live abroad. I wouldn't recommend living in Mexico for tax benefits. Jesse, have a beautiful day. Desert Island Survival. Peace out, everybody. I'll talk to you later.